What's up YouTube, it's your boy Nash here, welcome back to the channel, and for today's video I'm going to be talking about the brand new Tearalaments archetype, some new support cards for the Tearalaments archetype. It's basically them after defeating the bad guy, if you will. To be honest, I'm actually looking forward to the new cards because the new support has a fusion and only a couple new cards. So I will be talking about some additional cards as well, not from Darkwing Blast, but I will be talking about well, actually not some new cards, but OTS 20. OTS Tournament Pack 20 has now been officially announced, but the question is, what will be the big Ultimate Rare reprint? By the way, shout out to Starbucks for the coffee, not sponsored. Their coffee is just incredible, especially their cold brew. Anyway, that is the big question. What is the big reprint? We will find out in a little bit. I'm gonna be honest, really quickly, before we get started. I'm gonna be honest. I was hoping to do an update deck profile on either the Crystal Beast or the Dark World decks. But unfortunately, the cards that are on Nexus, unfortunately, did not appear. So I don't know if they're having some technical difficulties or what the fuck, but it's kind of upsetting. It's kind of pissing me off, honestly, but you guys know me. I always come up with a backup plan, and this is the backup plan. So, with that being said, let's get straight into it, and hopefully you guys enjoy this video. If you guys do, and you guys want to see more videos in the future, make sure you guys smash that thumbs up button, subscribe to the channel, turn on the notification bell. Excuse me, and be sure to follow me on my social media. All the links will be in the description below, as will the info to my fan mail. It will also be in the description as well. Let's get straight into it with the fusion. We have Tearalaments Lulucaros, which is an 8-star Water Aqua fusion with 3k attack, 2500 defense, basically a Blue Eyes White Dragon, basically, which is kind of crazy. And the materials it needs is Tearalaments Shatakaros, I believe is how it's pronounced, and then one Tearalaments monster. And the second and third effects are once per turn. And the first effect reads, your other Aqua monsters cannot be destroyed by battle. So this is basically sort of like a Return of the Dragon Lords effect, where you can just protect your monsters from being destroyed by battle. But with Dragon Lords, it can also be... But with Dragon Lords, card effects are also added to the mix. But still not being able to be destroyed in battle just with this one card alone, that's actually pretty good. It's a pretty good effect. It's a great way to further establish your board during the battle phase, which is just insane. The second effect reads, when your opponent activates a card or effect that includes special summoning a monster or monsters as a quick effect, you can negate the activation, and if you do destroy that card, then send one Tearalaments card from your hand or face of field to the graveyard. So it's basically a built-in Solemn Judgment at the cost of I would say at a cost, but with the added effect that you get to send one of your cards from your hand or face-up field to your graveyard, which you would be able to trigger the graveyard effect if they have any at all, which is pretty cool. Which includes this one that I'm going to talk about here in a bit, which is known as Tearalaments Grief, which I'll talk about the card here in a second. But still, it's not too bad. Third effect reads: if this fusion summon card is sent to the grave by a card effect, you can special summon this card. Yeah, Dark Hole, Regeki, pretty much any card that pops monsters, including Lightning Storm. Yeah, that's gonna be a problem for them. It's gonna backfire. It'll backfire on your opponent, and basically you'll just be able to just say fuck you to your opponent just with this one card alone. There's a note here that says, we're not sure at the moment of what Lulu is referencing, but it might be Luca, the hypothetical ancestor of all life on Earth. Her level 5 form is named after a common form of diatom plankton, usually found in sea foam, which mermaids are known to dissolve into. No comment. No comment on that. No comment. I ain't saying nothing. Next up is the normal spell, and is known as Tearalaments Grief. This is the one that I talked about with the second effect of Lulukaros, and both of its effects are a hard once per turn. And the first effect reads: special summon one Tearalaments monster or one Vice's Starfrost from your deck or graveyard, and if you do, send a monster you control with the same type or attribute to the graveyard. So it's essentially like it's basically sort of like a 1-for-1 of sorts, but it has a built-in monster reborn effect. So it allows you to re-manipulate the field to where you can make your board where you can have cards, such as Access Code, Boardload Savage Dragon, if you decided to run that card in the deck. Cards such as such as IP, such as the Nightmare package. You can basically build your board by going into those monsters and then just link climb into cards such as the Access Code Talker, such as potentially as well go into Bahamut Shark if you are running a level 4 water package, in which case you can go into Totally Awesome just by detaching its material, and you essentially just have your board right then and there, which is pretty nuts. The second effect reads: if this card is sent to the grave by a card effect, you can target one of your banished Tearalaments traps added to your hand. Ooh, yeah. Dare I say more? Any cards that are banished, any traps that are banished, you get to add it to your hand. It's sort of like it's kind of like it's kind of like what you call it? It has sort of like a Cyphering Lord Omega effect, but instead of the cards being sent back into the graveyard, you're actually adding it to your hand. So it's sort of like a much more unique version of Cyphering, which honestly Omega is actually pretty good. If you were to run Omega in a deck like this, you essentially would have a very busted deck, because with Omega in this deck, you're essentially just being able to use your, being able to use the graveyard effects over and 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 over again, to a point where your opponent just essentially will just scoop, depending on what your board looks like. Absolutely insane. And there's a note here that says the kanji reads as Echo Swirling in the First World. That's cool. That's cool. Next up, we have Tearalaments Heartbeat, which is a quick play spell, and both of its effects are a hard once per turn. And the first effect reads: target one spell or trap on the field, shuffle it into the deck, then send one card from your hand to the grave. If you control Vice's Starfrost at activation, you can target two spells instead. Two spells or traps instead. Okay, so it's basically a compulse for back row, which is actually pretty busted. It's pretty cool that you're able to just compulse your opponent's back row straight into the deck, because if those back row are cards, like Skill Drain or Goes in Match or whatever, if they're floodgates that are going to be problematic for your deck, you can just easily just trigger this, and if you have Vice's Starfrost on board, you can just pop, literally compulse two of your opponent's back row, which could be double Skill Drain, it could be Skill Drain and evenly, Skill Drain and Imperm and evenly. The possibilities are endless when it comes to the floodgates, and you'll easily be able to just, again, compulse them back into the deck, shuffle it, and then send one of your cards from your hand to your graveyard, which can actually also be, Tearalaments Grief. It could be their field spell. It could be literally anything, which is pretty nuts, pretty nuts, and you just pop off from there. The second effect reads: if this card is sent to the graveyard by a card effect, you can target one Tearalaments trap in your grave, added to your hand. Okay, so grief. So with the second effect of these spells, Grief lets you add a trap from your banish pile to your hand. Heartbeats lets you add a trap from your grave to your hand. And then I think, and this next one, which is called Tearalaments Scream, the second effect of this card reads: if this card is sent to the grave by a card effect, you can add a Tearalaments trap from your deck to your hand. So it basically acts as if you basically get to add traps from all three areas. From your banish pile with Grief, graveyard from Heartbeat, and then deck from Scream, which is actually pretty cool. The kanji on Heartbeats reads as Heartbeats shaking in the first world, which is pretty cool. And then I think Scream, the note here for Scream, the kanji reads as string sound ripping apart the first world. In which Tearalaments Scream is a continuous spell, I already talked about the second effect, but the first effect is also a once per turn, which reads: if a monster or monsters is normal special summon, and you control a Tearalaments monster or Vice's Starfrost, you can send the top 3 cards of your deck to your grave. Also, all face-up monsters your opponent controls will lose 500 attack for the rest of the turn. So it basically acts as like sort of like a reverse Black Pendant, where instead of gaining the attack, your opponent's monster will be losing the attack, which is not too bad. Honestly, the new cards, I'm kind of biased on this one. It's hard to say whether or not the deck will be meta, because we don't know, honestly. But I can tell you one thing right now: once Darkwing Blast comes out, I am definitely going to be getting my hands on it. I don't know if I'll open it on the channel, but I will at some point once it's released. But I'm excited for the set. But speaking of sets you could be looking forward to, OTS 20 will be coming up really, really, really quickly. Apparently we don't know exactly when this set will be released, but I can tell you one thing right now: the Ultimate Rare reprint, the big reprint, is the Hand Trap, Ghost Reaper, and Winter Cherries. If you guys don't know anything about this card is... it's not as good as people think it is. And here's the thing. When it comes to this card, when it comes to this card, it's a double-edged sword. Because you would need to run this card in mirror matches, which is stupid. But if you guys do not know, this card was released in Shining Victories, which I have opened it up before in my career as a Yu-Gi-Oh player and as a content creator. I never opened it up on the channel, unfortunately. But I know that my secret rare pulls were Crystal Wing and, if I remember right, Blue Eyes Twin Burst Dragon, if I remember correctly. I was hoping one of the big cards I would pull would be Ghost Reaper, because once we got Dual Devastator, that would mean I would have had a second copy. But it is what it is. But the effect of Ghost Reaper, it's a 3-star. It's a 3-star Dark Zombie Tuner with 0 attack, 1800 defense, pretty much the same as all of the other hand traps. Where they're all zombies, obviously. The effect reads: if your opponent controls more monsters than you do, as a quick effect, you can discard this card, reveal one card in your extra deck, then look at your opponent's extra deck, and also banish all cards in their extra deck with the same name as the revealed card. You can only use this effect once per turn. So if you were running, let's say, Gustav Max, and your opponent had 3 copies, they're all gone. They would basically be banished. So it basically acts as a double-edged sword, where it may seem like it's good, but it really isn't. Another thing that they can also expect is Mirror Jade, the Ice Blade Dragon, also being printed in the set, probably as a ulti. I honestly don't know what other cards we could expect in this set, but we don't know exactly when this will be released. I'm assuming it might be released possibly in the fall. It's hard to say, but that's gonna do it for today's video, and that brings me to the question of the day. Will you guys be purchasing Darkwing Blast as a whole sealed box, or in singles? Let me know down in the comments below, and that will do it for today's video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. If you did, make sure you guys smash the thumbs up button. If you guys are new to the channel and you guys want to see more Yu-Gi-Oh news videos, which typically get posted on Tuesdays, sometimes on weekends, make sure you guys subscribe to the channel and turn on the notification bell so you guys do not miss out on any new content that comes your way. And make sure you guys follow me on my social media. The links will be in the description below, as will the info to my fan mail. It will also be in the description as well. And on that, this is your boy Nash, signing out.